Going on, guys? I'm IcyRhythms. Welcome back. And in this video, something a little bit different because it's a company and their games that I don't normally talk about on this channel. And while I consider myself a pretty big fan, very far from a huge fan. This isn't one of those channels that you could come to. I'm definitely not one of those gamers where I could tell you all of the best possible builds in Diablo 2 or 3, or if you wanted one specific build that maybe necessarily wasn't the most powerful but that was kind of tanky. I couldn't help you with that. I don't know enough, and it's been a long time since I've played Diablo 3 and a hell of a long time since I played Diablo 2, but I really enjoy their Diablo games in particular, and that's where we can start, because this video is directed at the journalists because I don't think that they fully understand where gamers like myself are coming from. This mobile game, I think, has guys like myself, other PC gamers as well, and I think even some of the console gamers concerned and upset, not so much because I don't think it's because we're worried about them trying to get more customers involved in this IP, get them interested, get them playing Diablo, and then maybe, hopefully they'll buy Diablo 4 and 5 or something if those games are one day to exist. That I have less of a problem with, and for me it's upsetting because they've confused me. It's a confusion thing. I don't understand it. And this is how a lot of companies, whether you're talking about game development or otherwise, these guys, I think Blizzard has lost touch with the kind of gamers that they attract, the kind of gamers that they appeal to and have appealed to for quite some time. I think at their core, PC is number one, and then console is right there. It is right there, man. There's no denying that. But mobile, especially for a game like Diablo, and this particular Diablo kind of looks like a half-ass attempt. I know they're making it seem like this is like a full-fledged experience, and this is going to be like a lot of the other Diablo games, but the problem is it doesn't look like that at all. It looks half-assed, and you had one guy in the audience as this was being announced that sort of maybe hinted at, hey, is this going to come to PC? I don't even want this game on PC. I think it looks terrible, first of all, but it's a confusion thing because it's like, okay, this is where your customers are, and then you go and waste time and resources on this game. So whether Blizzard is developing this internally or it's, some sort of partnership or, agreement with another company and maybe they're working on it together, or just the other company that, they've some contract with, I'm not sure, but it doesn't matter. We're just trying to understand, okay, you're trying to get more customers to come to your product, but you can do that by just simply focusing all of the time and resources on something like a Diablo 4, which, by the way, needs to be incredible, right? Because people still have their complaints with Diablo 3. I have mine, trust me. That's for a completely different video, but Diablo 4 needs to be on that level with Diablo 2 in a lot of ways, and I don't know if we're going to get that, but if you're trying to bring in more customers, if you're trying to attract new eyes to your product, do that with Diablo 4. Find ways with that game, or whatever you decide to call the next major Diablo release for PC and consoles, do that with that game, and then focus on everything else. Maybe then focus on trying to bring that game to mobile at some point. If that's really your focus. I know people are really up in arms about this, and there's a lot of finger pointing going on, like, Blizzard's just trying to cash in as quickly as possible, and it makes a lot of sense for them to get the Chinese market, microtransactions, something like this will do really well for them, and maybe that's true. The thing that Blizzard should absolutely keep in mind is there is undeniably an unbelievable amount of backlash coming from this. The thumbs down on their videos says it all. And Blizzard, shame on you. Shame on you to a degree that I can't even put into words. You are proven, it is absolutely proven now, that you were removing comments, negative comments, comments that aren't going to help you sell your game, of course, in the comment section of one of or some of those videos, whatever the case may be. You were removing comments. I didn't put any comments. I definitely gave you a thumbs down, and I'm going to be honest, if I could give more thumbs down, I would. And I'm not normally a guy, no matter how much I dislike a video or I thought it was absolutely garbage or super average or something, I'm not normally one to like or dislike a video. That's just not something I do, but I just can't understand where you're coming from with this game. All of your customers that would really be interested in a Diablo game are elsewhere. I was looking at Twitter, and one of the producers for Diablo 2 is even a little baffled, saying that he admits that they coyly played up this Diablo discussion that they were going to have at this event as to maybe it was going to be a lot bigger and a lot more special than it actually was. And they did. They did. They sort of hyped this event for Diablo fans. Even like a couple of months ago, 2 or 3 months ago, they put that announcement out on, it was either YouTube or Twitter, that they are working on multiple Diablo projects, and we can't wait to show you what we have next. And there were some other things. So they really hyped this event up. Let me just give an example, and I would expect no less from the biggest diehards of these fan bases as well. Like, if Rockstar was hyping up to you, you know, Agent, okay? That game has disappeared for the better part of a decade. They're playing up to you Agent. Originally, this game was supposed to be a PlayStation exclusive. Some people still talk about it. Some people still hold out hope that Agent can exist. And like a year from now, they're, you know, doing stuff on the Agent website, and they have an announcement for a certain date. That date comes, and instead, it's an Android and PC only game. Now, I've seen some of those PlayStation Plus videos where Sony doesn't really deliver on some great games for the month, and the amount of thumbs down and backlash they get just from something small like that. So I can imagine when Rockstar and Sony at one point said, hey, here's this Agent game going to be exclusive to PlayStation, and not only is it now not coming to PlayStation, but it's coming to PC and Android of all things instead, and no word of a PlayStation release whatsoever. But the game, this time it's reversed in the case of the Diablo Immortal. This time it's reversed, and it actually looks like a really good game. There's going to be a lot of backlash from that. It's Rockstar, first of all, and you told PlayStation fans that this game was going to be exclusive. But as long as it's a good game, you know, it's a good game. But that wouldn't even be a thought in the mind of a lot of those gamers. They're not going to think about, well, as long as it's a good game, it's a good game. Or if Naughty Dog was hyping up their next game for, you know, E3 2020, we'll say, or the next PlayStation experience, and everyone thinking it's going to be like Uncharted 5 or a new IP or something, and it turns out it's a really cool, I don't know, new platforming game. Maybe Jak and Daxter, but it's only for iOS or something, you know? Like, that's going to upset a lot of people. And why is that? Because the customers are on this platform. These are the people that made you the company that you are in the first place. People will say, and by people, I mean journalists. In this case, I mean journalists. Journalists, I'm talking to you. People will say that it's entitlement. It's absolutely like 110% entitlement to feel like, you know, Blizzard shouldn't make this game, or it shouldn't come to PC. Again, I think some of those people are confused, but it's not entitlement I mean, did you hear their entitlement? Don't you guys have phones? Don't you have better ideas? Do you not have PC developers? Do you guys not have, you know, developers and guys that have been there for 15, 20 years that were there for the glory days of Blizzard? I'm sure that some of those guys are still there. They have to be feeling like this isn't the way of this company. What the hell are we thinking? Who's making these decisions? I almost feel bad for the guy that had to get up there and announce some of this stuff. He looked really uncomfortable once he realized that this wasn't going to go over well. And even this producer from Diablo 2 was like, you know, I can't believe this. I can't believe that they underestimated the backlash. How do you underestimate the backlash? Remember the backlash that you received for Diablo 3, and not just with all of the launch problems, but even after the fact. It just wasn't the greatest experience. I don't think it was. It's a good game now. Is it a great game? No, absolutely not. But it's not the experience that I think the most diehard of diehard, which I am not, Diablo fans wanted from a Diablo 3. And that long of a wait. What was the wait? Like 10 years? 11 years? Something like that. That's a long wait for a game to, you know, ultimately be pretty disappointing. A little underwhelming, all things considered. And it's Blizzard, you know, like this is one of those companies that are in the conversation as some of the best developers around. You know, they're in that conversation with guys like I just mentioned, Rockstar or Naughty Dog. At one time, Valve, not so much anymore because these guys don't make games. But imagine Valve, you know, that's another example. Imagine, you know, Half-Life 3 confirmed or Half-Life 2 Episode 3 confirmed, and then for whatever reason it's exclusive to Xbox or something for the first year or maybe forever. What kind of move is that? That is crazy. And I think the backlash that they would receive would be a lot worse than this. I have no doubt in my mind about that, but this is bad. This is really bad. And journalists need to shut the fuck up. It's not gamer entitlement. We're just trying to understand, you know, the people that keep your lights on, that put food on your table for yourself as well as your family and your friends. Even if they had just been like, here, Diablo 4 trailer with absolutely nothing to show, but just showed like, you know, a Diablo 4 logo of some kind and even just said coming soon, I think would have lessened this blow, this backlash a little bit. I think it would be a lot less worse than it is, but it's really bad right now. I don't think it's going anywhere, especially when you have content creators like myself making videos like this. When journalists say that this is somehow entitlement, right? And I think what they don't understand is you could argue everything about what they do in some cases is absolute entitlement. They expect companies to send them free games to review. They expect companies to give them incentive to say nice things about some of these games. I'm not saying all critics, all of those guys that make gaming articles are this way, but when you critique games, why are you critiquing these games? Like, why are you saying negative things about these games? Why didn't you give them a perfect score? Well, that's because you feel like these mechanics or this story should have played out a lot differently, right? A way that you would enjoy, right? Is that entitlement? Is that entitlement in some way to want a game to be different? Is it really entitlement to expect more from a company that you had at one time a lot of respect for? I mean, I guess this was always going to go this way, and I guess it's going to take Blizzard, you know, going broke or, you know, getting even more backlash for things to change or something. But, you know, I guess it's just been going this way for a long time. The success of World of Warcraft and all of the subscriptions they used to have at one time. And, you know, I would assume that a lot of the greed started to take over at that point. And then, you know, stuff like StarCraft 2 did really well for a long time. Diablo 3, even with all of the backlash and disappointment, did really well. I think I read somewhere the PC version, just physical alone, because I believe there was a physical copy for that, sold like 10 or 11 million copies before the console version even came out. Like, people love their games, especially on PC. Overwatch, all of those loot boxes, they're pulling in the money. Like, they're rolling in it. They're bathing in paper. I'm telling you, it's happening, man. You can't make this stuff up. I don't know when they'll go broke or if they'll keep making these mistakes, but I hope that's not what it takes. I hope you're not on your last leg for you to realize if you make quality products, if you make good decisions, if you make your customers happy, then people will buy your games. And they will tell other people about how great your games are. It's called word of mouth. Maybe you guys have heard of it. Some of you there at Blizzard now that are a little out of touch with gaming and gamers as a whole. You clearly are. You clearly are, and I feel like some of these journalists are too. Who do you think keeps their lights on? It's not gamer entitlement. It's not toxicity. You guys are the problem. You people defending these companies because you get free copies of games and get invited to all of these events, and some of you even get to see games a year or two before the public does. You guys don't want some of that stuff to go away, so of course you're going to defend a lot of these gaming companies, right? It just makes sense. It's in your best interest to say nice things and to call gamers toxic and entitled. Fuck you. Fuck you. How about that? Thank you guys for watching. I do appreciate it. This video went on a little bit longer than I hoped that it would, but I just wanted to get my point across. You know, it is sort of, a passionate thing might be a little over the top, but it's important for me that Blizzard does better. I expect more from Blizzard, and right now, this is just unacceptable. And you have a guy that used to work at the company that even thinks that this is a little crazy. So if that doesn't tell you anything, then, you know, I don't know what will. But you should listen to your customers. You should listen to content creators like myself, because we're the ones that are talking to everyone else. You know that people are going to agree with guys like myself and others that are making videos about this. You know that you're going to continue to get the backlash for this game. It just makes sense. Listen to your customers. Give us what we want, and you won't have this problem. It's not gamer entitlement. It just makes sense. It makes business sense. It makes sense for us. We give you money, you laugh all the way to the bank, and we enjoy a really great game. It just makes sense. Thank you guys again for the continued support. I appreciate it. You guys take care. Peace.